Okay, it's applying changes. Okay, that's still going. And it says it's sending data. Okay, it says it's streaming now. Okay. And the Substack thing is streaming? Yes, Substack thinks it's streaming. Okay, so the Substack stream should be back up now.
Okay, 1 second. Let me go check.
I do see the Substack thing is streaming. Yes, Substack thinks it's streaming. Okay, so the Substack stream should be back. Myself? So if I go into my Substack app and I go to HappyTech, I do see live.
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
see live as well. But
And,
now I cannot enter it. I see the same thing of practice live video or share
yeah.
it.
And now I can enter it, but I can't tap on the eyeballs. The
Is
eye
that
icon.
because you used my stream key?
I think so.
Got it. So whoever's okay, so here's what we figured out. So if we're using Restream and OBS, when we try to check the live from the mobile device, whoever's mobile device it is cannot actually enter the stream again. I haven't checked if this happens on desktop or not. I don't know why this is. And Rob, it sounds like you don't really know why they've set it up like this either. Is that correct?
It will, I guess, technically, because if I go in as like, there's some weird half account thing going on here, because right now I have my own account, but I am acting as HappyTech when I started the stream. Okay, so how I actually got into the stream in the app, in the iPhone app, is I went to my profile, changed it to HappyTech, and I could see the live and tap on it. When I did that before, it asked me if I wanted to start a new stream. And when I did start a new stream, the old one died. So I think what happens is that like HappyTech is somehow either not a real account or we're both accessing it by proxy somehow. So like when you go into it, Substack says, "Oh, this is Wonderluster," but she's accessing HappyTech, and so whenever you take
No,
actions, you
no.
take.
So can you draw this out actually? Because I'm getting confused based on what you're saying. But the other thing also is that when I go, so my Happy Tech account is completely different from my Sound of Listening one. And so I don't go in with Wonderluster. I actually go in with the Fi Happy Tech profile, which has an attached like publication, essentially.
Okay, so maybe that's because you created the account, and I'm just because like when I go live, I have options. I have Scott, I have Chandrika, I have Fee at Happy Tech, I have Robert, and I have Christina for some reason. And I wonder, like, basically when I go live with one of those things, I wonder if it's saying, okay, Robert is going live as Happy Tech. And so then
Oh.
I, as my own profile, can't get in on the app again because it says you are already live. You can't view
Mm-hmm.
your own stream
Mm-hmm.
because you're participating in it. And so right now you cannot view your own stream, but I can. And in fact, I'm doing it twice. The thing that's weird about that though is when I went live as myself, I could still open it in the desktop, in the browser, just not in the app. And that is
That's
probably a
interesting.
deliberate decision they made to treat the app differently.
Okay, and why would they have made that decision?
Possibly, I mean, it's possible that what it is they didn't support web at first for streaming, and web was later, and so web is using a more nuanced thing, and they figured out how to make it work, and they just haven't updated the app. Like maybe they added in that possibility later because they need to support it for web, and the app just never got updated for it. The other thing is they could actually have something on the app where they're like, look, we assume like maybe there was some really weird bug where people could go live on the app and then they could go live on another phone, and that really screwed up their whole systems. So maybe the app actually goes and checks to see if you're already live before letting you go live again because of people having multiple phones.
That
Those,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
So that makes perfect sense. So then, can you just write out, you don't have to make like drawings of it, but could you just write out the recommended setup for how we are doing Instagram Live and Substack live at the same time using OBS and Restream.
Um, okay. I mean, it looks basically like this. Let's see.
Well, we don't need shapes if that's going to slow you down. I just meant like text.
Yeah. Mm, okay. It basically looks like this. So
But where
essentially,
is Zoom?
oh, I mean, Zoom isn't really a part of it, but I guess, yeah, we can put Zoom
So are
call.
you saying that we can record in OBS without Zoom?
Yeah, we just choose
But
to
like
use
both of
Zoom.
us?
Uh, Maybe not both of us.
Like my video could show up and I could screen share and your face video could show up and you could screen share in OBS without Zoom?
There are ways to do that, yes. Zoom is the quickest way that we have found, which is why we're using Zoom. But there are other applications. We could use Discord. We could use um, some other software. There are probably even OBS plugins that let you push two videos over. All OBS is doing is it just has inputs and it puts outputs. Zoom we're just using because it's very convenient because Zoom is designed to have people in different locations communicate and have their video shared.
Okay, see, I think this would be really helpful, like a helpful segment for people.
Yeah,
So if we could kind of start from like left to right on
yeah.
this drawing, I wonder if I can move. Are you
Oh,
able to move the top two drawings off
yeah.
up just a little bit? Perfect.
Let me pull
Yeah,
this
because I
back
think
down.
just showing this flow, because even for me, I do understand how it's all chained together essentially, but I
Yeah.
think having a drawing of it, and I think it's correct in the live, right? Is it showing up? Is it being
Um,
recorded
Depends on what
correctly?
live you're talking about. In Instagram, it looks fine. On Substack on the web, it looks fine. On Substack on the phone, the edges are cut off. And it basically looks like, so at
Okay.
least on my phone. And that's why I haven't really mucked with it. But the recorded
Yeah.
video that comes through in the VOD will have this fine.
The VOD comes from Substack though, right?
Yes, but Substack actually has this aspect ratio fine. It's just it doesn't show up correctly on my phone,
On
particularly.
mobile.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. So yeah, if we could just like go through and like let's go like if you don't mind going slowly with me
Yeah.
and then explaining like why we have to use each of these, right? Because there's not really a duplicate like software that we have in here right now,
Yeah.
right? Like Zoom has functionalities that we need
Mhm.
that OBS doesn't have. And OBS does things that Zoom doesn't do.
Yes.
And Restream does things that Zoom doesn't do. And we need things on Instagram that are not available on Substack.
Mhm.
So I want to explain to any viewers who are trying to do a setup like this why these are the exact softwares that are needed. What do you think of that?
That sounds excellent.
Okay, so go ahead and then just pause after each one in case I have any questions. But I would love to learn this from you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we start off our setup with a need to bring both participants into the same area. And we don't want to be sitting side by side because we like our personal space. So Fi is in a different room than I am. We also want to be able to bring up stuff and one person, can leave and go somewhere else, or in this particular case, Fi's off camera. Zoom is very good for that because Zoom's entire job, the main thing it does is it allows multiple people who are in different physical locations to have their videos shared with each other and to share other windows on their computer. It is essentially a conferencing tool. And so the first thing that we need to do when we're doing these video call or these streams is we need to conference with each other. And sometimes we have other people. That hasn't happened in a while, but Zoom is very good for that. We also already have Zoom, as most businesses do. We could also use Discord for this. We could use TeamSpeak. We could use Skype. We could use Cisco WebEx. Those are a bunch of other video conferencing software. But the most important thing is the main thing that all those softwares do is they allow my video to go to Fi, Fi's video to come to me, our voices, it's basically trying to replicate if we were sitting at the same table, even though we're not, which is actually quite excellent for when we're doing streaming like this. Any questions so far?
I think all of that makes sense. And then the other thing that I understand from Zoom that we want is currently what we're doing right now, which is using the Zoom whiteboard or using annotation tools, being able to screen share. And then we can also get a recording through Zoom. So we're not just reliant on Substack's VOD in case that crashes. And so that's why those are the other things that I like remember of like why we're using Zoom. Um, does that sound accurate?
Yes, that sounds perfectly accurate. Zoom is really good at all that stuff. OBS is not very good at that stuff. But let's talk about OBS now. While
Well, and
Zoom, oh, go ahead.
there's one more thing. So I remember, we were trying to also get if somebody needs help with a tech issue, then they would have to be added to the Zoom call, and that's a lot easier to do than setting it up in OBS for some random computer and
Yes.
whatever and their video and all of that.
Yes.
So I remember when we talked about it, we decided to use Zoom in case somebody wanted to come onto the live and get help with their tech issue live. And Zoom was the easiest way to do that because we could just send them a link, and most people are familiar with Zoom.
That's exactly right. Yeah, if someone shows up to Instagram right now and says, I have a question about blah, 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 we could actually send them this link, pull them into this Zoom, and they would just show up on the live because Zoom is taking care of that conferencing.
Okay, perfect. I think those were all the reasons. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. What Zoom cannot do is Zoom is not good at streaming to other platforms. I don't know 100% sure that it's not possible, but I doubt it is because Zoom doesn't want you to use other platforms. Zoom wants you to use Zoom. They want all the participants in the video to use Zoom. They are a very closed system, and they're very good at what they do, which is why it's not that big of a deal. But Zoom would not really be able to stream to Substack, which is kind of a problem. What we could do is we could actually record a video in Zoom and post that to Substack, but that wouldn't be alive at that point. So that would defeat the purpose. Enter OBS. OBS, which stands for, I think, Open Broadcast System. Don't quote me on that, though. OBS, its only purpose is to take in data and push out data. So you can use OBS for recording videos. In fact, that's where I do most of my video recording. You can use it to set up scenes. So for example, the scene that we're on right now, nothing on my desktop looks like this. This is actually a special scene that is in OBS. I can click to another one very easily. And this is something it can do. Is right now on this particular scene, I have two audio setups. I have the screen capture, which is important because the screen capture gets the desktop audio. And I don't want to go too deep into that, but basically that's where the Zoom sound comes from. That's how you can hear Fi. Then I have the microphone, which is my boom microphone, which is how you can hear me. Then it has a source. It has the Zoom video capture source, and that is named incorrectly, but that is this screen here. You can't see my cursor, but I'm kind of moving around the screen. That's the video that you see. If I go to the live share, this one has two inputs that are visual. It has the video capture, which is my video, and then it also has the Zoom screen share, which is this little box here. And so I can move those around, as you saw I did. And more importantly, I can set these up in a manner, in a visual that looks good to you, the viewer, even though it might be a little small. If Fi showed up in her video, oh, it blinked a little bit, but it looks like we're back. If Fi shows up in her video, then her video would also be there, and it would also just look good because I've tested it on that. And that is something OBS lets you do. It kind of lets you set up how you want all of your sources to look. So I could put my webcam in here too if I wanted. Like, I'll just show that. Like if I add video capture device. So now there you go. There's my actual camera, right? That's without the background. Now I don't need this, and it's probably a little confusing for people because it's a little off kilter. But I could bring that in as well if I wanted. If I had two video cameras, I could bring in two. I could have two people's heads side to side. I can bring in another video. I can bring in a web page. OBS is very versatile with this stuff. And one of the things it can do is it can actually make use of the RMTP protocol, which stands for real-time messaging. And what that is that allows you to, in real time, which means live, send information, send data to other systems. Streaming, essentially. So OBS can stream. So its whole job is it takes in visual and audio inputs, composes a picture with them to whatever specification, and sends that whole composed picture and audio stream somewhere else. Questions on that?
No, I mean, that makes sense to me. I think the part that I'd like to get more clarity on is like how the stream keys work and like how many stream keys can OBS take, you know? Like because we need Instagram and Substack, but like let's say we wanted to use Restream for, you know, Facebook and Instagram and Substack. And like why and like can Restream also make those scenes that you're talking about, or is it only OBS that can? Like can Restream create that composition as well and do the functionalities that OBS has?
Yeah, those are good questions. So a stream key is kind of like a password. It's a very long, complicated string of data that tells the system that you are authorized to send data to it. So the RMTP or RTMP protocol takes two pieces of data. One is the URL, or the Uniform Resource Locator, of where the data should go. So, for example, for Substack, when you go live on Substack and you tell it you want to go live with a stream key, it tells you this is the URL that your streaming software must use. And that is, it's like RTMP : / live.substack.com / some identifier. Substack makes that up. You don't want to change that. But that is basically where you need to send the data to make the stream happen. Substack on its end listens for that, deals with all that stuff. We don't need to worry about that too much, but we can talk about it in a minute. The stream key then is basically what tells Substack that you are permitted to send data. Because otherwise, I could go live, someone else could figure out what that Substack URL was, and they could hijack my stream with their own content. Don't want that. That'd be bad. So that stream key, we have to put those both in, and then it's basically like logging in. OBS will go to Substack in this particular case, and it will say, hey, I am pushing data to you. Here's some data I want you to stream out. Here is the stream key. And Substack says that's the right stream key. So you must have gotten that from the person that started this stream, which means you have permission to do the stream. OBS can handle one stream key and URL at a time. So I could make it go to Instagram or Substack. It cannot do two.
Oh, okay, so that's why we needed to get Restream.
Yeah. Any other questions on OBS or stream keys?
I think that's it for right now.
Okay. Shall we move on to Restream?
Yes.
Okay. So, as I just said, as mentioned before, OBS can only handle one stream key and one URL at a time, which means it can only stream to one platform. It used to be we would just do Substack, but we want to do Substack and Instagram at the same time, and eventually we may want to do YouTube and Facebook Live and Twitch, even a couple other places. Though there's once you get to Twitch, there's some weird terms of service stuff you have to deal with. Restream is a specific service that does just that. It takes in your stream and splits it to multiple providers. So it'll send it to everyone. So right now, when I look at the Restream system, it's telling me some information about my stream, but it also says Substack streaming, and then Instagram streaming. And it can tell me when there's problems. Like earlier when our stream died, it told me, hey, there's an error sending this data to Substack. And that could kind of give me some information. It's also supposed to do chat. That hasn't been working. I suspect because Substack is not something they support amazingly well. They support it because it's RTMP. Basically anything that is RTMP, Restream can support because it's just a standard way of talking to someone. But the chat, I think, is something a little special and they might not be able to handle. So essentially OBS then connects to Restream. When we go to Restream, we ask Restream for its URL and stream key. We put that into OBS. So now OBS is doing its work, but it pushes that whole scene into Restream. Restream, I don't believe, has a lot of capability to set scenes. I think it probably has some rudimentary stuff, but nowhere near what OBS does. And the reason Restream doesn't really do that is because OBS exists. Essentially, Restream requires you to be using software already that knows how to deal with a stream key. And almost every piece of software that can do that has the ability to set up scenes and composition. So they don't really have a reason to do that because most of the people using them already have that ability in software that's just designed for that. So they don't really want to reinvent the wheel since they're trying to focus on splitting streams. So Restream creates a URL and a stream key, which we give to OBS. OBS then pushes that data to Restream. Then in Substack and Instagram, we generate that URL and that stream key and we give it to Restream, which then splits that data and pushes to them. So Restream is just a man in the middle, almost like a USB splitter is really how you can look at it.
Okay, so that, yeah, all of that makes sense to me. And you said that the Substack chat might not work because it's a newer application and Restream may not have built all of its functionality around that. However, even when we send the Instagram chats, I don't remember it working.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and I don't know why, because everything we've been told indicates it should work. It could be that I've set up that stream incorrectly. When I set it up in Restream, I may have not clicked some button that I was supposed to, or it may be that Instagram changed the way their chat works and Restream doesn't work with it anymore. I kind of suspect it's probably my fault because Instagram's a big enough platform that Restream would want that to work. So it's probably something that I forgot to set up correctly when I was setting this up.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I'm not trying to find fault or anything. I'm just trying to understand. Okay, great. So all of that makes sense for me regarding, and Restream had a certain number that was free, and then after a certain number of platforms you had to pay, or what was that situation? If you can explain that.
Yeah, so we have a free Restream account, which is very generous of them because this actually, even though they're not really doing that much work, they're taking existing data and pushing it. It requires servers, it requires hardware, it requires software. They are paying for that capability, and we're just getting to use it for free. They can do 2 streams, or channels as they call it. So our 2 channels are Instagram and Substack. If we want to add a third, like YouTube, we would actually have to upgrade. So Restream can do more. They just say, hey, if you're going to do more, we'd really like you to give us some money because this is kind of getting expensive for us, which is completely reasonable. I'm actually really, really happy to let you do 2. I guess they have to let you do 2 because there's no point in just doing 1. But yeah.
Okay, so that clears up everything for Restream for me.
Yeah. And then, yeah, Substack and Instagram, they maintain the actual servers that the RTMP data goes into. And then they are responsible for pushing that out to the Instagram app and the Substack app, which they may actually use RTMP for that as well, since it's a pretty good protocol for it. But they also might do their own thing. We don't know. Neither of these things are open source. So we would have to, it's basically guesswork. or talking to someone who has worked on either of these platforms to know for sure. But basically, at that point, it kind of goes into a black box, and we don't really get a lot of visibility into what happens. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of that. It is really
Thank
interesting.
you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
I stepped away from a second for a second, and then I had to come back and yeah. So all of that makes sense, and like I think I understand this flow a lot better now,
yeah.
and I'm kind of seeing the functionality and the limitations of some pieces of it, which I think is also good to have like an awareness of, for other people who want to do something like this. So if we wanted to add Facebook Live as well,
Hmm.
would that require a paid thing for Restream?
I believe so. Yeah,
So it's just two are free, right?
yeah. I can double check to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's just two. One of the things that's interesting about this whole setup as well, going back a little bit to OBS, if I actually want to share something that doesn't go through Zoom screen share, I actually can't do it right now because we have two scenes set up for the HappyTec Live. One that's just the video, and one that's the video and the Zoom screen share. So right now, this whiteboard is actually showing up through the Zoom screen share, and that's why it's working, because it's through Zoom. But if I want to share my own browser window or something, I would actually have to create a new scene. And it wouldn't be that hard, but it's just something I'd have to do. And for those of you who may have been in some of our earlier streams, you may have actually seen me doing this on the fly, where I was moving stuff around to make it fit. So there is that limitation. Like once you get something set up in OBS, you can switch between them very quickly. But if you need something new, it can be a little bit of a pain to make that happen.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And like I have like 8 different scenes. Like I have this one, which is just like, you can see it's just the desktop. I have audio only, which is literally just my own audio. Then like this is actually meant for desktop, but this is like a starting soon for Twitch streams. So I can switch between those very rapidly. But creating a new one would be a little bit of extra work. So, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about on this one?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. It was a good test. I do see people have joined. I see we have 6 people in the Substack. I can't really see who any of them are because of that aforementioned limitation. Something I wonder if it is possible to actually start the stream via the Substack app and then invite someone via RTMP. Because if we could do that, then it's complicated, but we might be able to get it so that someone started on the app, so they have access to that data, and then the co-host comes in streaming via. I don't know if that would work with Substack. Like they would have had to allow it. But...
Yeah, I don't see a way to get a stream key when I start the live on Substack mobile.
Right, because that would defeat the purpose. Anyway, it's just a thought. It's when we work with these platforms, we have to work with their limitations because sometimes we're trying to do stuff that they didn't intend, or sometimes we're trying to do stuff that they just would prefer we do something different. Substack is probably never going to stop allowing this RTMP protocol because there's just too many people like myself who have full stream setups and don't want to just go live on their phone. Same reason Instagram does it. And those people are often the ones that actually produce power content, so they don't want to leave those people out. But that doesn't mean that they have to give us every feature. So.
Awesome. So if someone wants to set something like this up and wants to stream on multiple platforms, what would you recommend for them?
I would definitely recommend OBS. It is a little complicated at first to understand, but it is also very flexible. There are a couple of other platforms. I forget exactly. Twitch had one, I think, that was much simpler, but I don't know if it has the ability to set the RMTP or RTMP, or if it can just go to Twitch. So OBS is like the bog standard. Like it's what people use who stream. I haven't seen or heard of any major streamer that doesn't use it, simply because it can kind of go everywhere. And like, I use it for my YouTube videos. You know, you can use it for video recording as well. It is a little complicated to understand. Once you get it set up, though, it's pretty easy in most cases, and there's a lot of flexibility and power. Like, if you're watching a little bit earlier, my video camera, or my camera view on this actually is a circle, right? And that was just something I could do in OBS. They just have a filter that I could just do a circular camera. Could probably do any shape if I wanted, and you could just really pull anything you want in there. And it's pretty fast, pretty good. It tells you a bunch of stats. Like, I can see we've been live for 51 minutes, almost 52, and it tells me how many frames I've dropped, how your connection is. And then, yeah, if you want to do multiple platforms, Restream is, I think, the most popular out there. To be fair, I haven't shopped around. I found Restream, it was the first Google search, and it works pretty well. There are probably other options as well. I bet there's actually stuff you can put on your computer that could stream to multiple systems. What I wouldn't recommend for that, though, or that was terrible English, I wouldn't recommend that you, from your own computer, stream to multiple platforms, because that puts more load on your CPU. So right now with OBS running, um, I'm I'm redlining my fans on my laptop. Like, it's not as bad as it was, because we've had a couple of lives didn't go so well, and so I kind of prepped for it this time, by cooling the room so that the laptop didn't run as hot. That's OBS just doing its grab all of its stuff, and Zoom going to one platform. If I went to two platforms, I think it would probably just die. So Restream is actually taking on a lot of load by going to all those different platforms. So that's why I definitely recommend you offload that, because hey, they already exist, and I don't think it's actually that expensive if you want to do three or more. But yeah, essentially this is the system I would recommend, mostly because I have not been made aware of a better one. If someone happens to know a better way of doing this, definitely let me know. I'd love to check it out and see how it works.
And then if someone's trying to set this up and they're getting really confused and lost and it's really difficult and it's really annoying, what do you recommend?
I mean, I would recommend reaching out to your good friends at HappyTec. If you're having just a little bit of an issue setting up some OBS stuff, you can schedule a free 30-minute call with us, and most OBS issues we could probably solve in about 30 minutes. You can also join our group classes, and you could also just shoot us an email and say, hey, I'm just trying to get a screen capture in OBS, and it's just not working, and we will happily just send you some written instructions of how to do that. What's the best email to reach us? Well, gosh, that's a good question. What is the best email to use? Um, I mean, I have my email is robert@happytech.space. So that is ROBBERT at HAPPYTEC.SPACE. I think we also have contact, don't we? At happytech.space. Is that one that exists?
I know we had contact at the other one, but I think Robert is fine. The other email you can use is fi@happytech.space, HAPPYTEC.space. And yeah, we can answer your questions. We can do a 30-minute free consultation. And we can also send you video tutorials through email, so you can try to DIY it yourself. And then if you're continuing to get stuck, we have drop-in sessions that are $15 for 15 minutes. And if you need one-on-one with Robert or our other coders and techies who we have on our team, let us know, and we will send you over a link to schedule the one-on-one with them, which runs about 160 an hour. And if you just want someone to take care of it for you, that's we have techie VAs who can set all of this up for you, and those are at $40 an hour.
Yeah. One note about setting it up for you, especially because OBS usually lives on your computer, that might mean we may need access to your computer, remote access. For Restream and Substack and Insta, we would not need access to your computer, but we would need access to those accounts. So you could like add us as maintainers and stuff like that, and we can get that set up for you. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, this was really helpful for me also because I think I've just never seen it laid out like clearly. So I think that that was good. Are we at an hour or do we have more time?
We're at 56 minutes. We'd scheduled another 20 for this, so we can keep going if you.
I think it'd be better if we just kind of ended here for today.
Okay.
What do
Later
you
I'll.
prefer to do? Do you
Yeah.
have other stuff you want to talk about?
No, I think that's fine. I mean, this is plenty of material to work through.
All
Also,
right, sounds good.
this is 56 that we've been live. I don't think either because we were doing testing on this. I don't think either platform will actually have a complete
Yeah,
live video. So I might have to do some video stitching on this, but that's okay.
that's okay.
Bye, folks. Have a magical time in the land.